Welcome back to Pal's Fundamentals on YouTube for your Faroe Islands news update. You can find more videos like this on our channel, and the video source is from Faroe Islands, live link below. So let's start with a look at the current weather conditions.
Right now, we've got fresh winds and strong gusts coming from the southeast. Those are running about 8 to 13 meters per second. Skies are cloudy with rain or sleet. We expect the wind to shift south and then back to the southeast. This evening looks like shifting cloud cover and sleet. Temperatures today will range from 5 to 9 degrees Celsius.
Got it. And how about for the week ahead? Are there any major weather systems that we should be aware of?
Yeah, it looks like low pressure systems in the North Atlantic are bringing multiple troughs across the Faroes throughout the week. So Tuesday, we'll start with southeast winds at 8 to 13 meters per second, increasing to strong winds, possibly gales at 10 to 15 meters per second in the evening. You can expect cloudy skies, initially dry, but with rain moving in from the west in the afternoon. Temperatures will be between 7 and 10 degrees. Wednesday will bring continued strong winds and possible gales from the southeast at 10 to 15 meters per second. It'll be overcast with rain and temperatures around 9 degrees. Thursday will be a bit of a roller coaster, starting with southeast winds at 8 to 13 meters per second, increasing to strong winds and possible gales of 10 to 15 meters per second in the afternoon. Initially, it'll be cloudy with rain or sleet. Then overnight, the winds will shift to the south, then west, increasing to gale or storm force, winds between 18 and 23 meters per second, with a chance of severe gale reaching 25 meters per second in some areas. Heavy rain is also expected. Temperatures on Thursday will be between 7 and 11 degrees.
Wow, sounds like we're in for some rough weather, especially on Thursday.
Yes, Thursday could bring some very strong winds. Now, for the rest of the week, Friday will start with gale or storm force winds from the west at 18 to 23 meters per second, possibly a severe gale reaching 25 meters per second. We can also expect heavy rain. Early in the day, the wind will decrease to strong winds and gusts from the west between 8 and 13 meters per second. The skies will be overcast with dry spells. In the afternoon, however, the wind will shift to the south and southeast, increasing to strong winds and possible gales of 10 to 15 meters per second. And heavy rain will return. Temperatures will range from 4 to 8 degrees. Finally, on Saturday, the forecast is for strong winds and possible gales from the south and southeast at 10 to 15 meters per second. It'll be overcast with rain or sleet and temperatures between 8 and 10 degrees.
Definitely a week to keep an eye on the forecast. And maybe secure any loose objects around the house. Now let's move on to local news. There's been a lot of discussion about wages recently.
Yeah, in 2024, a total of 12.7 billion kroner were paid in wages. This represents a 5% increase from the previous year. It's important to note that this growth is slightly lower than what we saw in 2023 and 2022. Another notable detail is that women accounted for the majority of this wage growth, with an increase of 370 million kroner.
Okay, shifting gears to another prominent industry in the Faroe Islands, there's been some controversy surrounding Faroese salmon.
Yeah, P. Clausen's Fiskhandel, a well-known Danish fishmonger, recently announced they would no longer be selling Faroes farmed salmon. They expressed concerns about the fish being raised on pills instead of natural feed.
That's a serious claim. How has Bakkafrost, the leading Faroe salmon producer, responded?
The CEO of Bakkafrost has publicly refuted this claim, stating that they have not used antibiotics in over 20 years. However, despite these assurances, other Danish fish retailers have followed suit and are halting the sale of Faroe salmon.
Okay, let's talk about the power outage that occurred last Wednesday.
Well over 50 damage reports have been filed with insurance companies following the outage. Many essential pieces of equipment such as circulation pumps, oil burners, and freezers were impacted by the sudden loss of power.
All right, on to some good news. What's the latest on population growth in the Faroe Islands?
The population grew by 0.5% between December 2023 and December 2024, reaching 54,675 residents. 19 municipalities experienced growth, with the largest increases in Tórshavn, Runavík, Nes, Vágur, and Skellavik. Within those municipalities, the areas that saw the biggest increases were Tórshavn, Hoyvík, Toftir, and Saltangara. However, 9 municipalities did see a decrease in population, and 1 remained unchanged. The largest population declines were in Æði, Vágur, and Sumba.
Interesting to see those population shifts across the islands. What about the financial picture? What's happening with tax revenue in the Faroe Islands?
There's been some fluctuation in tax revenue across the municipalities. 4 municipalities, Eystrakommune, Húsavík, Hafjál, and Sumba, saw a slight decrease in tax revenue between 0 and 2% in 2024. The other 25 municipalities saw an increase in tax revenue. Tullior, Hovs, and Porkeri saw the most significant gains, with an 11 to 14% rise in tax revenue. Looking at the absolute numbers, Tórshavn had the largest increase, gaining 82 million kroner. This was followed by Runavík with an increase of 16 million kroner and Klaksvík with a 12 million kroner gain.
Now for some positive news from the aviation sector.
Atlantic Airways has announced that their new flight simulator has received final approval from Danish authorities and training operations has begun. Their helicopter simulator is also fully operational.
Okay, let's move on to international news with a Faroes impact, starting with Greenland's future in U.S. relations.
Donald Trump recently made statements regarding Greenland and the use of military force to secure its resources. These statements have sparked discussion and debate. Anders Fogh Rasmussen, former Danish Prime Minister and NATO Secretary General, believes that Trump's threats are unlikely to materialize. However, he does acknowledge Greenland's strategic importance and states that both Denmark and Greenland are open to an increased U.S. military presence.
And there's been talk of a potential meeting between President-elect Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin.
President-elect Trump has requested a meeting with President Putin, hoping to find a way to end the war in Ukraine. Although no specific arrangements have been made, yet the Kremlin has acknowledged the request and expressed a willingness to engage in dialogue.
Returning to the news about Faroese salmon, it seems that the CEO of Bakkafrost has expressed disappointment over Danish fish retailers' decision to stop selling their product.
He continues to defend their practices, emphasizing the sustainability and high quality of their product, and reiterating their commitment to avoiding antibiotic use.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this situation unfolds and what impact it will have on the Faroese salmon industry. Shifting gears, Shurar Skal, who was involved in the Faroe Islands' own autonomy movement, has offered his perspective on Greenland's push for greater autonomy. He suggests that Greenland could potentially achieve more self-governance within the existing framework of the Danish realm.
So he's advocating for a more measured approach rather than a complete separation from Denmark.
Exactly. He believes that by toning down the strong nationalist rhetoric and focusing on collaborative steps, Greenland could gain more autonomy without severing ties completely. He points to the Faroe Islands' own experience as an example.
Okay, it will be fascinating to see how that plays out in Greenland's political landscape. Speaking of Greenland, Aki-Matilda Heydam, a member of the Greenlandic Parliament, has made a bold proposition. She has openly advocated for Greenland to become a state, believing this is a necessary step for Greenland to fully realize its potential and secure its future. She draws inspiration from Greenland's history during World War II, when Greenland and the U.S. formed a close bond while Denmark was under German occupation.
Interesting. What does she envision for Greenland's relationship with the U.S. if this were to happen?
Well, it's important to note that she is not proposing that Greenland become part of the U.S. Her vision is for Greenland to be an independent state with its own sovereignty. She sees Greenland collaborating with various countries, including Denmark, the EU, NATO, the Nordic countries, and others. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to mention a couple of local stories that have been making headlines. One involves ongoing discussions surrounding art and cultural funding, specifically pensions for those working in these fields.
Yeah, this has been a topic of debate for a while.
Huh.
Any progress on that front?
Starting January 1, 2025, individuals receiving work grants and artists' salaries will be eligible for a 15% pension contribution. This is significant because it marks the first time these professions will have access to a pension scheme.
That's fantastic news for those working in the arts and culture sector.
Mm-hmm.
What led to this change?
Well, this initiative was a key priority for the current coalition government, fulfilling a promise outlined in their coalition agreement. It reflects a recognition of the valuable contributions of those working in these fields and addresses the lack of pension provisions they've faced in the past.
It's encouraging to see concrete steps being taken to support the arts and culture.
And there's more. An additional 1 million kroner has been allocated for the production of Faroes artistic material for children and young people.
That's wonderful. What will this funding be used for?
The funding aims to support a variety of creative projects, including music production, educational resources, and other cultural materials. The goal is to enhance the artistic and linguistic skills of young people within a Faroes context.
It sounds like a comprehensive initiative to nurture future generations of Faroes artists and cultural creators.
It's a significant investment in the future of Faroes culture and identity.
Well, it seems we've covered a lot of ground today, from stormy weather forecasts to political developments, economic updates, and heartwarming stories. It's been quite a news cycle.
It certainly has. The world continues to be a dynamic and ever-changing place, and it's essential to stay informed and engaged.
Thank you for joining us on PAL's Fundamentals on YouTube for this Faroe Islands news update. You can find more videos like this on the channel. And as always, the video source is from Faroe Islands Live link below.
Until next